Ladies and gentlemen, the AOG Podcast with AJ and George.
It's the AOG Podcast. Your hosts, AJ and George. George is not going to be with us this evening. He was skiing out in Colorado. So we've got a lot going on. We're going to be talking about a topic that has really been on everyone's minds, I think, for the past few months. Last year or so now, at least. That's the insurrection, that January 6th insurrection, 2021. If you're not aware, that was when then President Donald Trump and his supporters supposedly stormed the Capitol, the United States Capitol, in an attempt to overturn the results of the election. It just was completely shocking to everyone. It shocked the nation, the world, left so many people questioning what happened. But recently, Fox News released never-before-seen security footage of that day, of that insurrection. And that's causing a lot of controversy. Some people are questioning whether it was the right thing to do. People are glad that they were finally actually able to see what happened on that day. But before we kind of dive into all that, let's take a step back. Let's talk about what really happened on that day. There was a rally near the White House where Trump supporters were encouraged by the former president to march to the Capitol building, where Congress was actually in the process of certifying the Electoral College results. The crowd grew, tensions began to rise, and soon a group of people began to break through the barriers. They were clashing with law enforcement. Someone died that day. Within hours, the Capitol was completely overrun. Members of Congress were forced to evacuate secure locations. Several people died. 5 people died as a result of the insurrection. But let's now talk about the result of that insurrection. Now there is the result of the release of the security footage. Fox News aired a special segment in which they showed previously unseen footage of the insurrection. We have our own footage. We're actually going to show you tonight, folks. You're not going to see this footage anywhere else. But the footage was reportedly obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, a FOIA, and it showed a very clear picture of what happened inside the Capitol that day. Some people are praising Fox News for releasing this. Tucker Carlson, they're saying it shed new light on the events that happened on January 6th that helped the public better understand what happened. Others are criticizing it, such as you have Schumer and McConnell. You have both Republicans and Democrats criticizing this. One thing's for sure, though, it is difficult to watch. Yes, there's people that got hurt and people that died that day. There's rioters breaking through windows and doors, vandalizing offices, and confronting police officers. We see members of Congress crouching under desks, hiding in closets. So was this really the right time to release the footage? Well, it depends on who you ask. Some people believe it was important for the public to see what happened that day so that we can prevent things like this happening down the road. There was a former Capitol police officer who's actually saying he was calling for help and no one was helping. Regardless about how you feel, it was an attack on our democracy, and it's something we should all take seriously. So in the coming months of years, there's undoubtedly going to be more discussions on what happened that day. Was it a conspiracy? Was Ray Epps part of the FBI and undercover, or was he not? Is this just all some conspiracy theory? As we continue these discussions, we need to remember, no matter what you are, we're all Americans. And we have a stake in the future of our country, but we have our own footage that we want to show you. You're not going to see this anywhere else. Like I said, George is not with us because he's skiing. So we're going to get to that footage. We're going to get to that right now. This is exclusive footage, by the way. This was George skiing again. More important, I think, than the January 6th event. George never skied before. This is his first time skiing. Let's try and get up here. I gotta give it to him. First time skiing. He's trying, he's getting up, he's up, he's out of breath. Here he comes, he's coming up. Here he is, he's coming up. Again, exclusive footage, much better than anything you'll see on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, January 6th. Here he is. First time skiing, folks. He's down. Oh, George, come on. He's coming in. He's going to finish. There he is. Good job, George. That was a great job. First time skiing. Again, exclusive footage. You're not going to see that anywhere else, folks. We're going to just jump on over to a quick break, and then we'll be right back. We're going to get into all your news headlines and topics and everything going on. We'll be right back.
Have you not been wearing a mask or social distancing? Did you recently attend a Trump rally? Then you or someone close to you is probably laying down. Hi, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor and CEO of MyPillow. No one should underestimate the value of a good rest. And I should know. When I was addicted to crack, passed out on a deserted street during a bender in Mexico, I realized this curb's doing zero favors for my neck. Then after talking directly to God and not myself, MyPillow was born. Years later, after a settlement for deceptive ads and an F from the Better Business Bureau, I'm a multi-millionaire. How? Because America! There's no problem that a pillow can't solve. Freebasing in an alley? You're gonna want MyPillow. A woman wants to choose what she can do with her own body? That's gonna need a pillow. Wife left you in an ugly divorce? Use about 8 pillows. And if you vote Trump come November, you can get 2 of my pillows for the price of 2 of my pillows. Call my new number now.
That was Mike Lindell, MyPillow, one of our sponsors here on the AOG Podcast. We're going to jump into some news headlines. So we were talking about it, and George was right. He's never been more right. He said that Ohio. It's not the last time we're going to be talking about Ohio. There was another train derailment the other day. Same company. North Fork, Suffolk. What is going on with that company? You have Pete Buttigieg. I think he's useless as far as I'm concerned. But he hits some quota that their administration needs to have, it seems, to have the most unqualified people possible. But Pete Buttigieg even admits that he got it wrong. He got his Ohio train derailment response wrong. Yeah, really, Pete. Mayor Pete, everyone. I don't get it. We're putting people in these jobs, government jobs, for what? What reason? What purpose? To hit a quota? It's doing real good for the American people, Joe. You know, the Clintons, speaking of people who just keep getting it wrong, the Clintons have the worst luck. Really, they do. 2 of their friends recently committed suicide. And now one of their attorneys died from turbulence. Turbulence. Yeah. On a private business jet. I've never seen a pair of people, of Bill and Hillary, have the worst luck in the world. More people close to them have died suspiciously, I think, than anyone I ever know before. Turbulence deaths are extremely rare. they typically happen in a plane crash. But this particular plane crash, guess what? There was no plane crash. You would think there was. This incident, the plane landed just fine. So what are the chances that a former Clinton administration lawyer was killed by turbulence? Turbulence, folks. And the plane landed safely. Talk about bad luck. So, you got Buttigieg doing it wrong, admitting he did it wrong. Clintons have bad luck. You got Newsom fleeing California Sunday. They had the snowstorm, which was upstate New York. They finally got some snow. I mean, excluding Buffalo. Upstate New York finally got some snow. There were hundreds remained trapped in snow out in California. And Ted Cruz was trolling Gavin Newsom on Twitter. He said Cancun's nice this time of year. And if you remember, Ted Cruz got accused of doing something similar when he left his home state on a family trip to Cancun during something going on. So speaking of traveling, can't bring your cat, put it through the x-ray machine with TSA. That's a no-go. Some stupid, I mean, there's a lot of stupid people out there, I think. I really think there's a lot of stupid people out there. For those of you just tuning in, I saw we had some more people tune in. We played some exclusive footage earlier. We were talking about January 6th. We're going to play more of that in a little bit, of that exclusive footage. You're not going to see this footage anywhere else. You're not going to see it on CNN or Fox or NBC. Only we have this footage. And we're going to show you more of that footage in a bit. But you had some dope bring their cat on a trip, and they put the cat through the x-ray machine through TSA. TSA had to put out a big announcement that you can't bring your cat and put it through the TSA through the x-ray machine. One, it's not good for the cat. I mean, no, they got how many lives? 7? 9 lives? Might only have 7 now after going through the x-ray machine. So we had this Ohio thing we were talking about, another train derailment, but we had Trump down there a couple of weeks ago, former President Trump. He took everyone to McDonald's, and I mean, you know, listen, I'm not going to tell people what to do, but the guy doesn't look healthy at all. He's all puffy, and he just looks awful, Donald Trump. His stomach's hanging over. It's a wonder. You know, he wears those baggy ties. And I really noticed his clothes are baggy. I guess they're baggy for a reason, but he took everyone to McDonald's, and he goes in there and goes, I know this menu better than anyone here. And he goes on this whole big tirade how he knows the menu better than everyone. And we're like, yeah, we could see that, Donnie. The guy's got to lose weight. I mean, we've had 2 presidents now in a row who just physically and now mentally, maybe even physically too, Biden can't even stay on a bicycle, let alone walk up a flight of stairs. They're just not fit. They're not fit. How in the world are these doctors of theirs saying they're fit for duty? Biden can't even ride a bicycle, let alone run a country, for crying out loud. His wife is saying the other day she was asked, she was almost insulted by the question. Dr. Jill, no doctor of mine, that's for sure, but Dr. Jill Biden dismissed Nikki Haley actually proposed that presidents over the age of 75 need to take a mental competency test. If we have someone in charge of the armed forces of the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, why is that a problem to make sure that they're mentally fit? Why is it a problem to know that they're competent to do the job that we elected them? We the people, elected these individuals to run our country. Why is it a problem? And we just want to make sure everything's A-okay. We just want to make sure it all checks out. Why is that a problem, Dr. Jill? Give us a scientific reason, doctor. Give us a scientific reason why. Why is that a problem? Is it because he's not mentally competent? Is it because you know he's not mentally competent? And that then begs the question, if he's not, who's running the country? It's not cackling Kamala. Talks about her Venn diagrams. She loves her Venn diagrams. We get it. Enough. No one cares. Do your job that you were elected to do. You were elected to do this. This is not a right. We elected you. She can't even get through a sentence either. She, Kamala, should take a mental competency test. I think we should expand on Nikki Haley's suggestion of the president. I think the vice president should also take a mental competency test, regardless of age. You know, I'm really confused. Speaking of mentally competent, maybe I'm the one with the problem, but I'm really confused because didn't Joe Biden say the pandemic was over? Right? Didn't Joe Biden say the pandemic is over? No more pandemic. Pandemic's over. I'm actually going to look this up because I'm positive in September of 2022, Joe Biden, this is on CNN, folks, CNN, the pandemic is over. He made an appearance on CBS's 60 Minutes, and he believed the pandemic, he declared the pandemic is over. The man-made virus, the pandemic is over. We had former CDC director, Dr. Robert Redfield. He was being questioned, I guess, by Congress. I don't really know. You had Representative Maliotakis. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene questioning him. One of the questions, is it likely American tax dollars funded the gain-of-function research that created the virus? Dr. Robert Redfield, the former CDC director, said, I think it did not only come from the NIH, but from the State Department, USAID, and the DOD. He brought up the COVID lab concerns early on, only to be shut out by America's favorite doctor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is profiting from this. I don't care what anyone says. If you got the shot, get 30 shots for all I care. He's profiting off of this. Supposedly, there's a conspiracy theory or a rumor going around that his wife, Christine Grady, evidently approves or does something over at the NIH, at the National Institutes of Health Center. Supposedly. I got to get clarification on that, but there's this rumor been going around for months now on Twitter, and who knows what's true or not anymore on Twitter. But yeah, Dr. Redfield brought up these concerns. He brought up these concerns early on, and he was shut out. You know, with COVID, if the pandemic's over, Joe, the United States of America still has, you can't come into the country unless you're vaccinated. There is a rule or a law or I don't know what it is, but there's something there, but it's by air. So we have an issue. We have Novak, I don't know how to say his last name, Djokovic, the tennis player. He was finally able to play in the Australian Open in January. Novak Djokovic. He was finally able to play in the Australian Open in January. He was actually deported from that country last year over over his vaccine status. He is not vaccinated. Now, Australia has far stricter and far harsher COVID guidelines than most countries. They've had this throughout the entire coronavirus pandemic. He can't play. He couldn't play in the California Open because all of a sudden, the United States cares about your vaccination status. Meanwhile, we've had thousands of migrants just crossing the border. They're coming right in, and guess what? Are they vaccinated? Are they not vaccinated? Do we care? So he had to forfeit and couldn't play in the California tournament. The law says by air. So DeSantis in Florida for the Miami Open said, well, can he come by boat? Can we get him here by boat so he could play in the Miami Open? And they're waiting to get clarification on that. Hey, listen, folks, the law says by air. And if he's going to come by boat, I don't see any reason why not. It says all non-U.S., this is on the CDC website, by the way, air travel, all non-U.S. citizens, non-U.S. immigrants traveling to the United States by air are required to show proof of being fully vaccinated. So can he come by boat? Would be the question. There is no rule against that. There is no guidance against this. Your DHS has something from 2021. This is outdated. It hasn't been updated since 22. It's going to be interesting. So if he takes a boat into Florida, we're going to see if he'll be able to get through or not. And we'll see. Speaking of migrants and illegals, we have in Nebraska, I don't think much is going on there, but a pair of migrants in Nebraska shot and killed a bald eagle, our protected animal, the national emblem of the United States. And it gets better, folks. They had the intention of eating this thing, of eating it. They were told to let them go. Why are there two sets of rules in this country? Why are there two sets of rules for citizens and for migrants? That is a protected animal. That is the bald eagle. It represents our country. I don't care how hungry you are. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get what's going on. I don't understand. I don't know. I also don't understand. You got Fetterman in Pennsylvania hospitalized, unfortunately, with a depression and a mental issue. We've gotten little to no updates. How the heck do you have someone representing the United States of America? I feel bad. Depression and mental issues are not something to joke around about. But he shouldn't be representing our country. There was an article online about a week ago that his wife abruptly left the country while he was hospitalized. Evidently, they were forced to flee to avoid the media circus. Maybe you should have thought about that. Maybe you should have thought about that before you pushed him to run. The guy can't even get through a sentence. I'm sorry. I know he had a stroke. But for God's sake, our country's a circus. Our country's a joke. You have Donald Trump. Enough with the names. The derogatory names aren't going to work for you. They're not appealing to his base. He's calling DeSantis a meatball. He called him DeSanctimonious recently. Now he's calling him a meatball. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. With Fetterman, he was actively voting the other day and co-sponsoring legislation while he's undergoing mental care. Shouldn't he be able to give us an update on the condition? I don't really get it. I don't get it. Today's International Women's Day. And a big shout out to all the women out there. There's so many strong and dedicated women in everyone's lives all around the world, whether they're your families, friends, people that represent us in politics, that represent our country. But I'm confused here. I think confusion seems to be the motto of this episode. I'm confused. Hillary Clinton, women and children are the primary victims of climate change. There's no place that unfortunately shows us that more than in Ukraine. What? What does that mean? What does that mean? How are women and children and climate change related? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Listen, folks, it has been a pleasure. It has been an honor. It's the AOG Podcast. I certainly know I aired some grievances tonight. Next week, we got more coming for you. We're going to get to this exclusive footage one last time. This is how we're going to end the show off, how we're going to end off this episode. Exclusive footage you're not going to see anywhere else. I can bet you that much. And it's definitely way better than what you're going to see on Fox News and what you saw on Tucker Carlson tonight. Here's some exclusive footage. It's the AOG Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Ja mies, joka on tällä hetkellä kolmantena väliajoissa. Ja perästä kohta sieltä tulee. Ja stadionille seuraavaksi se oli viettää syntymäpäiviä Lahden MM-kilpailussa. Kovasta